Dequan, this is your first interview. I feel like where you have like a long format, also with video, because I saw a little bit about your work and a little bit your philosophy that you try to put out there, but it's mostly through Zoom, and I feel like we don't really ever get a good perspective, or people don't really genuinely get the feeling unless like we're having a real time conversation. So I appreciate you taking the time.
Yes, sir.
To be here. How are you?
I'm good, man. And when you said Zoom, part of that is because of COVID.
Oh, you did that through COVID.
Some of the stuff that you found, the content that you found, it was through COVID. So a lot of the platforms wasn't even letting you in the building, you know. And then, of course, after COVID, some of the interviews I done was up to today, but people got spoiled and they still rather say, can I just send you a link? And I'm like, all right, it's cool, I'll save my gas, but I like this.
I think that part of meeting someone, that nervousness to meet them also adds a little bit of like a touch, because same way I met you right now, like tall dude, tall guy, and I was just like, man, like I don't know, that just adds something to meeting someone in person. But throughout that time, you're a huge advocate about mental awareness. Can you tell me a little bit about your story, kind of there, so we can start it off?
So I have a foundation called the You're Enough Foundation.
Okay,
it's a nonprofit, and all we do is partner with other organizations in the community, and we go around, we put together these really nice entertainment events. I provide entertainment as well as the artists that I represent, because I also own a company called Destined for Greatness Management, and we're the entertainment piece of these community events that we do, but we provide the community with the resources. It's a way for us to put the community in touch with the resources in the community that most of them don't even know about.
Like an entertaining way to bring them in,
and an entertaining way to bring them in, give them food, let them have fun. But then, boom, here goes a financial literacy vendor. You should meet this guy. Here goes a mental health clinic. Your child has been having some issues, according to what you said when you signed up to even come to this event. So this is the person that you would probably need to meet with. This is a doctor that probably can diagnose the child and start getting the child some serious therapy and some serious help. Well, it could be psychiatry, anything. But we take these events, and like I said, and even down to financial literacy vendors. We have banks and everything on site to teach you about pretty much anything, all things financial. That, you know, because most of what happens to people, a lot of depression is triggered back to what people don't have and struggle. You know what I mean?
Okay, like the absence of something?
Yeah, the absence of just not having resources or finance, not having a lot. So most people that go through that level of depression is just people that don't got a lot. So if we bringing in financial literacy vendors and banks to teach you about your finances, to start educating you on how to create budgets and how to create savings plans and learn about money market accounts, CD accounts. These are things that people from the places that you and I grew up in, they don't know about that. You know what I mean? So imagine bringing in someone and you say, hey, single mom, you're already getting a supplement income, or you may be getting a Social Security check, whatever it is. Has anybody talked to you about life insurance plans and different benefits that you could get? Most of the time they say yes. Sometimes they say, yeah, I mean, I've heard it, but I don't really got that. Or they may say, I have a life insurance plan. I'm like, well, do you know that you can borrow from your life insurance plan? Did you know that? You didn't know. Okay, go over there and talk to this financial literacy vendor over here, and they can teach you all about that. And there's things like that you could borrow from to get repairs done on your home. It's little things like that will help benefit someone's life and take their life in a better direction. And that eliminates a lot of that depression. And so for me, what fully inspired me to even start that foundation is because I was somebody that battled depression.
Before moving forward on kind of your own experience, what are the turnouts on these events? Because sometimes good information is not always, like, it's heard, but it's never taken action on. Do you find that that's because there's a reluctance to take it, or because they also don't have the means to, like, let's say you guys are providing financial literacy, but it's at this location, like do people always like? Is there always a good turnout? Is what I'm saying, like a success rate.
Well, you have to offer something. You have to offer. You really have to offer an incentive for people to have a reason to come out. Sad to say, but it is what it is.
That's kind of things that I was talking about.
So we use little tricks like have the radio station to come out and host the event. Of course, if they're blabbing their mouth about it over the radio airwaves all week, then the crowd gonna come out. Especially when they're saying things like free food, family fun, games, blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? So we have face painting and we have bounce houses and like little vendors come out with like game trucks. Like they have like these little mobile game trucks where they come out and kids get on the buses and play the video games. And so we offer like a lot of incentives to get a good turnout. So for the most part, we have a big crowd based on what we offer. Because if it was just you just coming to a town, hey, we're coming and we're going to teach you about X, Y, and Z, nobody's going to show up. But if you bring the radio out, that's you already got the community ear right away because they're talking about it on the radio.
I like it because I like it because I mean, at the same time that people get to benefit from having fun, they get to benefit from like a real resource. And so therefore, you created that foundation kind of base of your experience. What was your experience and where does it come from?
So like I was stating earlier, man, what really triggered me to even get into this work. I grew up with a single mom.
Okay.
So what we watched.
Since you were born to.
Yep. So it's me and I have 3 younger brothers. And what really inspired me to do this is we watched our mom just bust her ass and really work hard to take care of us. And it wasn't just her, it was the women in the family. So it's like her, all her sisters, which are my aunts, and then they have a brother as well, which is my uncle. But then like my grandma and then her mom, which is my great grandma before she passed. The way that she trained us, well, I'll say trained them and then us. It was to stick together. And we watched them work so hard by sticking together and really making ends meet. It's almost to the point where we almost thought we were rich when we were young, because whatever we asked for, these women would come together. They all had regular they were cleaners. They was custodians. They didn't have, flashy corporate careers. They were all custodians. And I think one of my aunts worked in a daycare, but they all came from that background and they literally just stuck together and made anything we asked for happen. So because of that, and me seeing them struggle the way that they did, it just, early on, it just makes a man want to help. It makes a young boy want to help.
Not in every case, I don't think.
I've heard a lot of people say that, but for me, it triggered me to want to help. I wanted to help. And this is what led to my depression, but we'll go there in a minute. I'll let you finish.
Is it because you feel like you're more empathetic? Like you felt their pain?
Yep. And I felt like I'm the oldest next to my other cousin who was 5 years older than me. But
that does something to you too.
Him and I got the same mindset. We both, my cousin 5 years older than me, him and I, his name's Randall. It's just ironic that me and him, we literally got the same mindset. And it was because we watched them work so hard as women, and we wanted to. Now, two of my aunts were in relationships with men. My mom was in a few relationships as well.
Yeah.
But only one out of the relationships really worked out. And as far as my family goes, so we watched them work so hard, man, to where it just because we were the oldest, we felt like we were supposed to help. We felt their pain. We were supposed to work and get jobs and help everybody else. And what's so wild about it is it trickled down to all the siblings behind us, because everybody has the same mindset. We all wanted to work and we stick together. So it's ironic that we operate on the same thread that we watched growing up.
But as an older brother too, I feel like I call it a survivor mindset.
And a responsibility.
A responsibility mindset. But then also you have something your brothers don't have. And you said that you were able to trickle down that effect to your brothers too.
Yep.
How?
And all of our cousins. Like, cause now it's out of my grandma or let's just say my mom's siblings. It's 4 of them as well. So all 4 of them have kids.
Okay.
So I have other cousins, but alongside the 3 brothers, younger brothers that I have, but it trickled down because we didn't know no other way. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, I thought that life was that way. I thought it was normal for people to stick together. I didn't realize that some of the friends I went to school with grew up in dysfunctional families. I didn't even know what that was.
But it's still very rare to see. And let's say you grew up in a single family home, but because you had strong female figures that showed you unity, that showed you guys unity?
Mm-hmm. Yep, 100%. We saw them sticking together, so we thought we were supposed to do the same thing. But if you'd met my great-grandma that passed away, she was like Maya Angelou, bro. Like, just like Michelle Obama. Like, she had that personality. Like, you better stick together. Like, she was enforcer. She didn't play. And her methods to the madness, it was always families first, or God first, then family. Blah, blah, blah. Like, she just had a mentality that I can't even explain. And because she trained everybody to think that way, I'm telling you, we really thought that was the only way to live life. I didn't realize, even when I started to date girls, that some of them came from dysfunctional families. So imagine, now this goes back to the mental health work. Mm-hmm. Imagine being with a female who grew up in total dysfunction. The relationship with her dad is probably broken. She watched her dad dog her mom out. And you're in a relationship with this girl, but you grew up in a total functional family with different mentality, different perspective, but you're with this girl who comes from dysfunction. Imagine you two trying to.
You don't think those can coexist?
It's tough. I've lived it.
But I think one party drains the other.
Well, sometimes it works. Mm-hmm. I'll say that. Sometimes it works because sometimes you become a shining light in somebody's life that's come from broken, like that come from a broken background.
Okay, absolutely. Yeah,
see?
I've seen that too. Yeah.
But then other times, like you said, it can drain you. Because I went through a situation one time where it was so draining. I never forget, and Lord knows, I pray she doesn't see this footage, but I'm gonna tell the story. I was out to eat. Was out at lunch one time, or no, maybe dinner. It probably was dinner, I think, with a young lady that I was dating who had a couple kids, and like I said, we come from 2 different backgrounds, and literally, I remember my whole entire head was down on the table where we were sitting at. My whole head was down. And her daughter, one of the daughters was with us this time, and the daughter said, "What's wrong with you?" She just said. And I said, "Do it look like something wrong with me?" I got defensive. "Do it look like something wrong with me?" She said, "Yes, your head's down on the freaking table." And her mom, "Yeah, head down on the freaking table. What's wrong with you?" And that's when it clicked. I said, you know what? I just need to go to the restroom. I got up, went to the bathroom. I'm in the bathroom literally throwing water on my face because what you don't know, bro, is I was so miserable. And I just didn't know. I knew I loved her, but I just genuinely didn't know if I really wanted to be there. Because it was just we were just so different in so many ways. So different in so many ways. Like, it wasn't just her background and my background where we came from, but the second portion of that is introvert, extrovert. I'm an extrovert. She was introvert. So we were just and they say opposites attract. So we definitely was attracted to each other. She was fine and all of that. Beautiful. She had everything else that I like, career, all of that. Mm-hmm. But some of her characteristics, her character traits, it just didn't mesh well with mine. And it led me to be extremely miserable. Like, she was also extremely quiet. And I'm a talker. I'm a people person. I like to communicate. I love to have deep intellectual conversations and talk about inspirational shit. Like, I'm into so much, and she was the total opposite. Don't even want to talk. She'd rather just sit quiet and don't say nothing in the room of silence and just watching TV. And I'll do that to a certain point. Like, if it's some type of documentary or something that I'm really into, then I am quiet and really into something that's feeding my mind. But We were just two opposites, man, in so many different areas. And I knew the parts of me she didn't like, and I knew the parts of her that I did not like at all.
But since being such a talker, you guys didn't talk about those parts that you guys didn't like about each other?
I tried. It's so wild how I can communicate that well, but when it come down to like my feelings and how I really feel about something, especially in a relationship, if I really like the person, I'll just not say nothing. I'll let it go.
Really?
I learned to like bury my true feelings.
Okay, let me ask you.
Uh-oh,
but don't you think that comes from like your childhood?
It's my freaking childhood, bro. Now you know why I started to partner with therapists, because I had to learn this. It's a trauma response.
But then, so would the right woman liberate that, though?
Yep. It take a different type of woman to recognize that in a person and say, what's wrong? Go ahead. And create that safe space for you to be an outlet. I never felt like she was an outlet I could pour into. And it's so funny because I vaguely remember a time where I would go silent on her for days. I would go silent for like 2-3 days, and like,
did you think that made you like a bad person?
Yeah, because I would be so mad or triggered by something, and I didn't even know how to express that to her. And one day she said to me, looked me right in my eyes and said, if you got a problem or if it's something wrong, come to me, talk to me. She said that to me, but I never felt like it was a safe space to land, because the one time, and women got to be careful with this, because the one time that I came to her expressing something that I had a concern about, she reacted in a way where it wasn't a good reaction, because her response literally was, oh, well, this is just not going to work out. Like, it was like one of those type of responses. And I was like, damn, your response to me coming to you with a concern was to break up? And from that day on, I couldn't really communicate a lot of what I was feeling.
And I feel like I don't want to generalize women or men, but there, you know how...
Because it worked two ways. Both men do it too.
Yeah, because like the message is this, that, all women are going to create that safe space for a man to talk about his feelings. But I feel like not all women are ready to have those conversations, because that also takes a man showing a little bit of his weakness.
Yep.
So I guess it takes the right person for each other. Again, because like I said, I don't want to generalize anybody.
Right.
I think it's just about finding the right person that liberates that energy for you, because you did take the message of like, oh, I can go talk to her.
Yeah.
But if what you expected to be reciprocated, or at least her show you some grace, wasn't shown, then you're not going to want to do it again.
You're not going to do it again.
And that just puts you down a path of, I guess,
lack of communication.
A lot of things.
Horrible. It destroyed the whole relationship. I knew it did. Because it used to piss her. It would piss her off, like, because I go silent for days. And like, it's just... And it all stemmed back to that one moment that I'm expressing to you that happened. And it was just like that reaction I got was like, uh-oh. And from that day on, I never felt like a safe space. So you can imagine how much I was internalizing in my head over this course of us dating. And that's what led me to like a real deep, just being completely miserable and depressed. I'm telling you, and we would be out. The fun part of us, I would say, was when we would go out, and like we had this thing where we go out to like really nice dinners, and it was like a thing. We were what we call foodies. Yeah. So like I loved to do that. So anytime I was hanging with her, I would really enjoy that time, because what I discovered was, through talking to other female friends that I worked with, I didn't know what a love language even was. I never even heard of that. You do know the way we grew up, and I'm playing all these sports growing up, playing about like. We're not taught things like that about our emotions and what we like love language. Just like, what is that?
So you think that's why a lot of men too also don't know how to communicate?
Yes, and I found out my love language, bro. I took this freaking quiz. These girls at work, oh, take the test. They sent me a link. I took this quiz, and the quiz was asking you questions, like specific questions around things that you like and don't like. Come to find out, my love language is quality time. Some people is like Words of affirmation. Like some people, oh, look at my man Mario looking good today. Some guys like to hear that.
Yeah.
Me personally, But if you spending time with me, I'm on fire for you.
Really?
As long as we hanging, spending time, vacationing, going on nice dinners, we can be cuddling, looking at Netflix. Any little time I spend with you, that is what have me on fire for you. I fall. The more time we spend, the deeper I fall for you. Versus some guys are like gift. They like gifts. Some guys like acts of service. Some women like so vice versa. It's on both ends, guys and women. Like everybody has a different love language. Mm-hmm. And what I discovered was, as long as we were doing something like that, totally happy. I was totally happy. Anything outside of that, hated it.
What do you think that is, though?
Because I also wasn't loving her in her love language.
Okay.
Because I discovered hers was acts of service. And I was the type that if you ask me, hey, could you take that trash out? Or, hey, could you go gas up my car? It's a turn on for me. Because I like when my woman asks me something and I get to meet that need. Versus her, you supposed to see the need and you do it. If I see that trash running over, I'm supposed to automatically know I got to take the trash out.
But you didn't know that.
No.
Okay. Because I'm very different.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's a lot to learn.
It's a lot to learn, definitely. But again, I think it takes the right person to have this conversation with. Like some women are going to be able to talk about it, and some, like, you're just not.
I wish she and I could have grew together and learned all this shit together, because I'm still learning. Because what you end up discovering is there's some broken parts in you too. You know what I mean? Like, although I grew up in a different type of background than she did, I still had some broken parts because, again, single parent mom. Mm-hmm. How do you think that affects me growing up? And one man that I thought was my biological dad, I didn't find out till I was 9 that he wasn't.
What is that to do that to you personally?
Oh, it messed me up, because what happens is you start looking for attention in all the wrong places. So I started to look for attention in girls. You know what I mean? Like I to fill that void, I tried to fill the void with messing around and dating a lot of girls. Like I just was chasing, doing that, all much to the point where I stopped playing video games because I was so caught up in chasing. Man, me and my crew, we was going out, freaking skating ring, movies, all that, Carowinds, we was doing all that stuff as teenagers, young, and we literally chasing. That's all we was doing, chasing girls, playing sports, chasing girls. Because all my friends, all of us played sports, and I lost a portion of my youth because I was doing that. You know what I mean?
What else would you have done then with it?
Playing video games and doing what other teenagers, most of the teenagers we knew were doing. You know what I mean? They was into Madden and NBA Live and all the game, 2K and all these. Man, I did that up to about the 7th grade. Mm-hmm. By 8th grade, we was in the streets. And I mean, I'm telling you, like, even, man, in 8th grade, we went to the prom in a limousine. Like, I'm telling you, we thought we was select. We was acting a fool. Like, growing up, I had a really fun, like, upbringing, man, because I just had a crew that had the same mindset, and we all thought we was, we tried to be Hollywood was our thing. We wanted to be like whatever celebrity we would listen to. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So
having such an extroverted personality, and, like, let's say you were able to have a whole bunch of friends, have a whole bunch of girls, did that come back and haunt you later to, like, other things you would have done?
Yeah, because if I was more focused in school, I think my life would have went a lot further in terms of, like, career and college and the whole path, because I was so caught up in that realm of things that it led me to only discovering, as a black man, this is literally what I thought you could be. This is where the depression's still out. I'm gonna crawl back to it, because I don't think I finished earlier talking about what led me to depression. I thought as a black man in this country, all you could be was an athlete, an entertainer, or a drug dealer, hustler, flat out. I thought that's all you could be. I didn't know that a black man could be a dentist, a sports agent, a corporate executive, for Fortune 500 companies like Bank of America, Wells Fargo. I didn't know you could be all of these other things.
You had all those three things because that's what you associated with success.
That's what I associated with success. I thought, and the only reason is because, again, look at the flashy lifestyle that we was trying to portray because we were listening to the certain rappers. You see, we was listening to certain rappers. We was listening to Jeezy and all these, Lil Wayne, T.I. These were all the rappers we were listening to, DMX, you name it.
Yeah, they're the hottest artists out.
So we listening to that, following the videos, and we're trying to portray this lifestyle. And so that led me to depression because once you graduate school and now your NBA dream is no longer happening because I was a basketball player.
Mm-hmm. You thought you were gonna
I thought I was gonna be in the NBA like Allen Iverson and Kobe and everybody else. Michael Jordan, like whoever we looked at that had this flashy life. See, the reason that I associated with a success is because look at what they had. Look at what the rappers had. Look at what the NBA players had. Look at what the NFL players had, and then look at what the drug dealers had in the community. They had all the girls, all the cars, all the, you know what I mean? So we associated that with success because that's all we saw. We thought that's all you could be. And I literally know that's for sure what happened to me.
But that's because that's what you wanted too, right?
That's what we wanted. We wanted that lifestyle that they had. You know what I mean?
And it's interesting. You did follow kind of that line all throughout and have like, yeah, you used to follow that line.
Always since I was young. You know what I mean? So yeah. It's kind of like, why did I gravitate to the flashy lifestyle? Why did I always have a passion for flashing? Why was I like that? And then I had to figure out through therapy, discovering that came from having like low self-esteem when I was a kid. And you see?
But you look like but it seems from your story that you had a high self-esteem.
That was to mask what I really felt. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. The flash and all that, keeping up, trying to get in all the noise was a way for me to hide what I really felt, who I really was.
Who'd you feel you really were?
Nobody. You see?
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? 'Cause why else would I try to portray these guys that I'm looking at? Mm-hmm. I was trying to be them. You know what I mean?
You were not trying to be the best version of yourself.
Of me. God, you got it, boy. You got it. That's it. I wasn't trying to be the best version of myself. I was trying to be them. And so because of that, what does that say? Why are you trying to be them? Because you hate you. Do you understand what I'm saying? You think you're nothing. You don't know your worth, your value. I didn't think I was nobody.
How long did that take you to realize? Like,
how long did it take me to realize that that's what that was?
Because I don't know. For me, therapy is very weird, and I'm gonna be very open about it. That I just don't like therapy.
Well, I didn't either, and I'll tell you why.
Because I don't know. I guess we talked off screen a little bit about our like depression, right? Mm-hmm. I feel like I don't have time to feel or really listen to myself because I'm so caught up in the real world process I'm going through right now and trying to be successful. So I don't have time for that. But I'm also very interested finding it out through other people's experiences because I went to one session of therapy and hated it. So maybe I'll fix it down the road through other people's experience. Why didn't you want therapy then?
Because it's such a negative connotation in our communities where we come from. You're taught your whole life, therapy. What are you going to oh Lord, that boy must be crazy. Like most people, they associate it with crazy.
In Hispanic cultures, like let's say in a Hispanic culture, we tell our parents we're depressed. What demonic shit have you been watching? What
you see?
Or you're gonna get slapped because
same thing in the black community. In the African American community, that is literally the same thing in our community. Like that boy, you must be crazy. You know what? You're watching all that shit on that TV, like it's so like
it's that music you're hearing.
Yeah, stop listening to all that foolishness. Like, oh man, and it's the ignorance. They genuinely just don't know. And I'm telling you, I thought therapy was something for crazy people. I really did.
But don't you also give them a reason for why they gain that perspective?
Yep, absolutely. I got a lot of compassion for them because they don't come from my family. They don't come from having knowledge of stuff like that or those type of resources. Like that was something unheard of. You know what I mean? It isn't until now that Hispanics and African Americans are getting educated about mental health and learning what that is. That's now.
I think because that like the world today also gave us that opportunity, because before our parents didn't really have the opportunity.
Yeah, they didn't have the opportunity to do that. No way.
To do that. And again,
they killed themselves. Nobody cared. Now,
yes.
if somebody commits suicide, it's big media.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like, what happened? Oh, what did he say? You know, he left a note? You know, like, then you start to discover, and then now the compassion comes. It's like, uh-oh. Then you start looking at the other kids in the house and say, okay, is there something going on with them mentally that we may have missed? Because why did our oldest son or our oldest daughter commit suicide? What happened? Did we miss something? And you start to learn that a lot of what we've been taught, man, is generational trauma.
Did you tell someone you were going to go to therapy when you went?
Well,
or you did it by yourself?
It's interesting that you say that, because I started doing all this mental health work in the community and putting these events on because I just wanted to rap at the events. Okay, I was just trying to bring entertainment. Okay, but then I started to get with these mental health clinics and these therapists and learning more about it and watching some of the people go through the process. And I was like, I've never even tried therapy. And literally one of them called me out. Wait a minute, you a mental health advocate and you hadn't even been to therapy yourself? I said, nah, I'm good. I don't need no therapy.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
He said, you don't need no. I said, man, I don't need no. Man, I'm good. I've grew up pretty good, man. I'm okay. Blah, blah, blah. I had a little struggles here and there. I depressed a couple of times. He said, uh-oh. And he's looking at me. He's like, those are the people right there that has some trauma that they carrying and they don't realize. And literally, it's so funny that I'm about to say this, but I'm about to say it. The young lady that we were talking about earlier, literally, when she and I started having conflict in towards like the ending of our relationship, she heard me reference therapy in a negative way. And she said, let me ask you something. What is it that you got against therapy? Like I heard you say blah, 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 blah. And, and then she's like, and I kind of brushed it off. I was like, and she was just like, no, seriously, you probably need to try therapy. I said, well, if you go to therapy, I'll do it. I didn't mean like.
It was a relationship talk.
I didn't mean that bull. Like, come on, I'm just saying something, man. And literally, she goes, and she come back to me telling me that she's to start a therapy, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, you really did it. And she was like, yeah. So you got to do it too, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay. So I went into it thinking that this was something we was gonna do together. So I called one of my guys, one of the sponsors who sponsored the video "You're Enough," the song that I wrote, that I made about mental health awareness, which just talks about my depression. And we'll break that song down too. At some point, I would love to break down some of the lines in that song. But I called him. I was like, "Hey, man, look, I know you sponsored our video and you allowed us to shoot the video, and then my other mentor, Troy, who also has a mental health clinic, he allowed us to use his facility to shoot some shots of the video in his clinic." And I said, man, listen, I think I want to try therapy. I want to try some therapy. And he said, all right. He said, I'm gonna put you. I said, whoever your best guy is, let me know who it is. I said, or you. I really wanted it to be him because he and I already had a friendship. Shout out Rashawn Miller, by the way. It's my guy. But he was like, I'm gonna put you with my best guy. All right. In my mind, I'm like, I wanted to be with him because I already knew him. But he put me with a guy named Mike Dyson. Great dude, Michael Dyson. Man. First session, bro. It was virtual. Did it over Zoom. And literally, I cried like a baby the very first session. And this was just an evaluation. He was just asking me questions. It wasn't even the therapy sessions and the homework and the whole giving you the tools to walk away with and like learning coping mechanisms and all these things you learn to deal with your depression. We hadn't even learned none of that yet. This was the first day. He was just asking me tell me a little bit about yourself and what I went through growing up and man.
Let me ask you something.
It was powerful.
I'm very keen on not opening up old wounds. did you start or have such a revealing uh, conversation with him because you opened up old wounds that you really needed to?
I don't even know how I led to doing all that crime.
Really?
Because I went into it, like you said, like I went into it in defense, but I was wasting my time talking to this dude, telling him my business. I went into it with the same ignorant mentality. And I promise you, that's how you know they're trained and licensed. Because like he started asking me certain questions to where you don't realize that that's a trigger for you, but he's asking this because he's evaluating you. So he's writing down what you're saying. And so he's asking you these questions. And bro, he was asking me questions that I didn't even know was a wound. Do you understand what I'm saying? I didn't even know was a wound. He'd ask me the question and I'm like, oh, well, one time, so I want to give you an example to make you really see the picture here. It's like a blur for me that day because he may have asked me something like, he said, why did you desire to be rich and famous anyway? You see? So he would ask a question like that.
But isn't that kind of like poking at who you are?
Uh-huh. But they're trained to do that because that's the only way that they're going to make you break that wall down and tell the truth. And when he asked me that, I said, what you mean? Why did I got defense? What you mean? Why did I want to be rich and famous? He said, I just asked, why did you want to be that? He said, why couldn't you just be regular old Dequan Starnes? Why did you desire to have flashy life? What is that? And I was like, well, I just figured, you know what I mean? Like, you get the girls. He said, oh. And like, he said, keep going. I was like, you get the girls, man, the lifestyles. And plus, I always wanted to just take care of my family. I wanted to be in a position where I could take care of my family. And he looked at me, he said, did you feel like you couldn't get girls if you didn't have all that? Uh-oh. Nobody has ever said that to me. I was like, he said, do you not think you could get those same girls as just being you, Dequan Stone? You want to be a millionaire to pull girls? That's what you want? And I got so quiet and I was like, oh man, I said, I don't know if I could have got them without. I don't know. I was like, I don't know. I said, but I do want, I wanted to get money also to take care of my family. And I always he said, okay, he said, take care of your family. You said that multiple times. He said, like who? He said, he said, if you woke up tomorrow, what is a perfect day for Dequan Starnes?
Did you know what the perfect day was? It's right off the bat?
I got completely quiet and I said, oh, okay, I got it. He said, go ahead. I said, millions of dollars in my account, making sure my mom and my brothers are taken care of. I don't want them to have any financial worry. Like I'm literally going down the list of stuff that I'm stressed out about and not even realizing it. I'm just talking. I'm like, want to make sure my grandma and my cousins are straight, making sure everybody don't have to struggle, blah, 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 blah. Also, I just want to make sure my mom, I kept going back to and then before I know it, I was so lost in the conversation that he done bounced back to the girl. He said, so what did you want to do with the girls? I said, I don't know. I just feel like I got to have a hot, fine, wife, blah, 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 by my side, helping me build an empire, blah, blah, blah. He's getting to the root of what's in your head.
Okay.
So I didn't realize I was being set up for the kill. And he is literally taking these different angles and I'm just rambling, talking. He said, well, let me ask you something. He said, who is Dequan Starnes? He said, you told me all these things, all the people you want to take care of, you want to have this beautiful wife and success and a rich career and blah, blah, blah. He said, but who is Dequan Starnes? I said, oh, well, I'm Dequan Starnes, man. I said, I'm a recording artist. I'm a corporate HR executive. I started naming the titles.
The titles, yes.
You see where I'm going with this?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm a HR recruiter. You know, I've been doing this now, blah, blah, blah. I've had some success. I'm a recording artist. I also own a management company. I got artists that I represent. I got a foundation that I'm a leader of. We do all, I finished all of that. And he said, that ain't who Dequan Starnes is. He said, I asked you, who are you? He said, you can start with the son of, I said, oh. He said, you just told me all your talents and all your success, but you didn't tell me who you were. Now I'm quiet. And he was like, now tell me who you are. I said, well, I'm the son of Carrie Massey, son also of Derek Starnes. I'm also the oldest of four amazing boys to my mother. I said, I'm the oldest. And I'm also the grandson of Alma Massey and Bobby Massey. I'm also like, and as I'm talking, I'm just saying all these things. I'm also a cousin of, like, I'm not even realizing how this is coming out, but it's just coming out. He said, and I said, I'm a God-fearing man. I'm family oriented. I love spending time with my family. I just love seeing us do well. I'm just going and naming all these things. And he said, that's who you are. He said, but all these things you said over here, these are your talents. And those talents has created an identity for you. And you have gotten who you are mixed up with your identity based on your talents.
It's not what you are, it's who you are.
Boy, before I know it, my face soaking wet, I'm crying. And he's just calm, like, it's all right, man. He said, I just want to know who you are. He said, but I see that you talk about taking care of your mom and your family. He said, you don't think you just being a good son and out of trouble is enough for your mom? Why do you think you got to financially take care of your mom? You think that would make her happy or something? And I said, wow. You know what I mean? Like, he just started making me see life from a different perspective, because she is happy with just seeing me. I mean, if I go over there right now to her, she'd be happy with me just showing up. But why do I think I got to be this successful, flashy, accomplished person to make her proud? She's already proud of me. That goes back to my childhood.
But up to that point, those titles were of importance to you. What kind of drove you there then? Like, what pushed you? Was it your family then? Because you found out about the depression up until you were already successful. So you are living that life. So, but what was the motivation then before?
Because, once again, in therapy, he said as he's doing all this talking, he's leading to saying, what triggered you? He asked me what you asked me. What triggered you to even like strive for more and do all these things?
Because not everybody wants to do that.
Yeah. He said, why couldn't you just be in the family, a regular guy? And I said, well, one time I had failed, and right when I said that, he said, there it is. He said, what did you fail? I said, well, I had failed in the 5th grade. I had to stay back a grade. And I remember, man, this time where I was sitting down and I went to summer school, and we had to take this EOG test, and I failed the reading EOG test. And I remember you had to go before the school board and the principal, and they had to vote if they was going to promote you or retain you and stay back a grade. I said, I'll never forget, I was at this summer school, and it was at Walter Beckett. That was the summer school that I went to. And because I went to East Elementary, but for summer school, it was at Walter Beckett for some reason.
It's here in Charlotte?
No, it's in Monroe, down in Union County. And I remember me sitting there, and my mom had been crying because of this moment. And she's sitting there, and she's like, I just hope they pass you on. I was like, yeah. And I'm talking trash, like saying, I mean, I don't understand why these tests get in the way of people. Like, why they can't just pass me on? And she was like, and I looked at her, and we went in the room and stood before the school board and the principal, and I was one that didn't get promoted. They retained me. The amount of failure that that's a little deep. Sorry. The amount of failure that I felt walking back to our car, because I was just looking at her, and it was like you could just see the disappointment in her face. but maybe that's not what it is. You know what I mean? She was just broken. Now that I'm older, she was just emotional and upset because her child has to go through something like this. I took that and I took my own perspective of it. I thought she was disappointed in me.
But Dequan, let me ask you, because I don't want to tell my story. This is more about you. Did that feeling? Aren't you I don't know if this is gonna sound wrong. Are you not thankful that was impressed to you, and that got you to the place of success where you were up until that point?
Well,
or because that's how you learn. Like, did you learn?
You learn from your failures.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well.
Hey, but not only that, you associated a feeling, because I can see how strong you feel it.
Yep.
But that feeling also took you to those new heights.
The new heights. Well.
Again, I don't know if everyone sees it this way.
No, this is incredible. No, this is a good point. Like, and the reason I'm so glad we went this way, because that moment, it was that moment. I was probably I was 5th grade. That moment created in me what you just said. Like, I gotta be something. I gotta be something. That's where it started. It was there. Cause all before, I was a happy child and just excited all the time. I was a happy child. But when that moment happened, that's when the desire to be something else more was birthed. Okay. But because you're so young and immature, you don't pick up the lesson yet. You got to be a little older.
Absolutely.
Before your ass, you got to get hit again before you know what I mean? So
till you remember again.
Till I remember. So I got all the way. Now, fast forward. The next year, school comes in. I retained. Like I said, came back to the same elementary school. Passed both the EOG tests that time. Had an incredible teacher.
Man, that just goes to prove that really marked you.
Oh, man, grades were wonderful. Like, I was in all kind of programs. I was like Michael Jackson in the Black History Month program. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, I won every little contest that they had. I was most talented or something in some the year, but my whole thing turned around. But what people didn't realize is that was me hiding the embarrassment of having to stay back a grade with this particular class. So I was doing all of this loud stuff to bury to hide the fact that wasn't he in the 5th grade? So people don't even realize that. Now, when they see this video, they'll be like, damn, that's why he was like that in school? Because they know, anybody went to school, they know. They know, oh, we remember him. Because they know how much I was, how talented I really strived to be. And it was because I was hiding the fact that that's the kid that failed. He failed his grade. So fast forward to me finally learning the lesson. Got all the way in high school. I'm sorry, got in middle school. Got in middle school now. Same thing. Popular, doing all of this, all of that. Make the basketball team, 7th grade. Dunk the basketball in middle school. I'm doing all these things. Get in 8th grade. And at this point, I'm so hot and just distracted and just got so much going on. I got a crew. Me and my crew, we was called the E Squad. So we had all of this going. Man,
you guys were the popular kids.
Oh,
I was a nerdy ass kid in high school.
Man, bro, we thought we was just bro. We used to have custom belts. We used to get custom hoodie, airbrush gear. We thought we were.
Damn, you guys are hardcore.
Shout out Tay, Wayne, they know who they are. We used to have so much fun, bro, and
Oh no, you guys would definitely overshadow the nerdy guy.
Oh man, we were wild, and it is so funny because all those distractions, and I didn't make the team that year. I made the team, but academically, I was ineligible because I had an unsatisfactory in a couple of my classes. I'm showing out. I'm just showing out, class clown, acting wild, just showing out. And getting thrown out.
And thank you for exposing yourself like that, because again, it takes some vulnerability to recall your mistakes.
Oh man, getting thrown out, getting kicked out, going to ISS for 2 weeks, just crazy stuff. And it was never for nothing bad. It was for me just acting like a clown in class, telling jokes, cutting up in front of the girls. That's all it was about. Okay. Then we get to the 8th grade end of the year. I have to go to summer school again. I have to go again. 8th grade. This is years later.
Second time.
It's my second time. But I still hadn't learned the lesson yet. Second time. I go to summer school. I passed this time. And then we had we did 8th grade graduation, blah, blah, blah. Did all of that. Now I leave the area, the school that I was at, that area, and moved to another school district. I went to a bigger school. It was diverse. It was like 2,500 like student body. Like it was a big school. 3A, 4A, like huge. So the area I came from was like 2A. It was like on a smaller scale.
Small town, probably.
Yeah. So, man, go to that big school. First time I got up here and seen these different types of women. Oh boy, they was all colors. So I was like, what is this? Because the school I came from was predominantly black girls and Hispanics. That's what was mostly in our school. And boy, I got up here and it was all kinds of, oh Lord, I said, what in the world's going up here? So I make the basketball team, and again, I'm a freshman. I could dunk. I remember I told you I had just dunked the ball in middle school. So I get on the team up there, and it's like, oh, that's the freshman kid that can dunk. Like everybody knew me for that. And man, I gained a lot of notoriety very fast. I was the first one to dunk a ball in the varsity game as a freshman. That's in ink. I got that. I got the articles to this day. They was putting me in the newspaper. I'm front cover of the paper. Like it was, my life at this time I thought I had the best life because I was just shining bright, making my mom proud.
You were one of the 3 categories.
You see that?
Yeah.
You see that? And
yeah.
And everything I'm doing stemming back to I'm just trying to run from that moment where I failed in front of my mom's eyes. You see that? All the way back to a kid. So I'm doing all these things, and then I get to my junior, senior year, and I run into a coach who come from a different background. From what I heard, he was adopted, so his real family wasn't even with him. You know what I mean? And he grew up, he was a white guy, so he come from a different era, a different time. And me coming from the background I came from, rough around the edges and from the area I grew up in, I needed a coach like the coach I had when I was in my freshman and sophomore year. Although they let me play up varsity sometime, I was on the JV team, but they would pull me up and let me play varsity some nights. Mm-hmm. And
so that misunderstanding kind of caused
a lot of turmoil between me and the coach. Because the coach I had freshman and sophomore year grew up like I grew up. He's a black guy. He played at Carolina. So now I idolize him because he played for the Tar Heels. And then he come from what I came from. So he knew my language.
And you really start listening to people whenever you respect them.
Yep.
And internalizing
everything. I totally respected him because of who he was, what he accomplished. This other coach, he never played no damn basketball. And then he went to Western or Eastern, one of them damn colleges.
Yeah, and but that's
he didn't
fair.
even he wasn't even somebody known for that. But this guy coming from the Tar Heels, and he was almost like a father figure to us. Like he cussed us out and everything, but it was out of love. It was like, damn, you soft? What's wrong with you? You know, like he would give us that type of checking, and man, I loved it because he really understood where I came from. He took me around his family, let me meet his wife, and he would take us out, and his wife had like a company that did like interior design and stuff like that, and he would take us, let us work with her sometimes, and they would pay us, and like he trained us throughout the summers. Him and my uncle as well. My uncle like was once again another went Division I and then went pro and came back. You know what I mean? So like I had respect for him. So it was like the people like them I respected, but this guy in my junior senior year, I didn't even like him in my freshman year. I didn't even like him then.
I've played sports, but it's cool to see your experience that a coach can make you or break you.
Oh man, like let me tell you, like I needed a person like what I had before, the coach I had before, that knew that I was rough around the edges. I had a little bad attitude. I just needed somebody to come here. You know what I mean? Like that wasn't him. His mentality: get over there and sit down. Take you out the game, sit you down. You know, now I'm sitting, the fans barking, put him back, acting the fool, the student section wild. Yeah. And I would just be sitting there and like, we just had so many conflict moments. So in the height of my basketball career, where I'm front cover newspaper, getting all this success, I was the most depressed and miserable because of the system that I was under. And then, again, my attitude and how I was still rough around the edge. I wasn't ready. You know what I mean? Like, I needed a true role model, an example to teach me how to act, because I wasn't a bad kid. And we fell out over something so stupid. Like, I'll never forget, we fell out one time over a freaking iPod. It wasn't even mine. I was borrowing someone's iPod. Notice I said iPod. Yeah. Says how old I am. But I was borrowing someone's iPod to go to weightlifting, and the football coach took the iPod, and the kid went and told his mom he got my iPod. So he called his mom or something, told her that I got his iPod took. She came to the school demanding that they bring the iPod back. So I had to go to the football coach and tell him, my guy's mom's here. She's wanting his iPod. Can you at least give it back? I can take it back to him, and we can just be done with it. He said, I gave it to you, basketball coach. I go to him, ask him about it. He's like, you just come back and get it at the end of the day. I'm telling him, look, coach, if that was my iPod, I would be fine with that. I said, however, it belongs to G. That's his. His mom is here, and I just want to get it from you. Go take it back to him so we don't have this problem, because she's in the office and it's not going to be good. He flips out. Did you hear what I just said? Get out of my office. And so now we jumped up about face to face.
Man.
And he runs out of the office and looks at me and said, if I open my mouth again, I can hang my jersey up for good.
Being misunderstood, it's just...
Yeah, so it and that one moment created a negative thing between him and I from then on. Now, we didn't really fall out to that magnitude again, but we did have a couple moments where he benched me or take me out or because a couple moments where I just hated to hear him talk. I didn't even like to hear him talk.
Up until that point, then you thought your success was based off sports, and then you said also it became very revealing to you that because you lacked the education part, you couldn't really find success after sports.
Yep.
That's what.
Yep. So now, fast forward.
Do you think that's a lot of kids grow up and that's.
Yep. And it wasn't that I wasn't intelligent. It was just that school wasn't really a priority where we were from. It was the sport.
Yeah, because again, it fit in talk.
It fit them three categories we just talked about. It was like, oh, my son going to NBA. My mom was all over that. Oh, shit.
Oh, my gosh. She also supported that, too, so.
All over it. She had every article before the damn article hit. Man, my mom made a whole book.
Oh, your biggest fan.
Oh, man. She would be front row at the game. Like, front row. She would leave work and be front row at my game. And I didn't want to play until I spotted her. We run out at warm-ups. I'd be looking around for her. And I knew, and then finally she just got a signature seat where I knew where she was going to be sitting. And I would look at her, and I knew, all right, I'm ready.
It's game time, yeah.
It's game time. And boy, could I turn it on. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, and it was just, it all stems back, though, to me as that kid that thought he let her down. Yeah. And this is what I discovered in therapy. So fast forward to now I'm graduating. NBA isn't happening. Why? Because my senior year, I'm this star player all this time in high school, get to my senior year, and I was academically ineligible to play in my senior year.
But this is an important conversation to the a point to the conversation. What is the message then from that experience you to other younger athletes?
It went all the way back to me fooling around, cutting up in the different phases of school in my life and not really taking it serious. I'm going to tell you how popular I was as an athlete. And this is my advice to kids. Do your work because you're a student athlete. The word student comes first. Focus, and you don't have to be super smart. It's little things you can do like effort. Something simple as telling the teacher, you know what, Mr. Mario, I would love to stay after school, man. I know I've been struggling in this class, but I'm really trying to get it. That alone will make or break whether you get a D or a C in that class to make sure you stay eligible. I promise you. I know I probably shouldn't be saying that publicly for teachers, but teachers know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of times they see the effort in the kid and be like, you know what? he got a D, but I'm gonna bump it up a little bit. I'm gonna give you some extra credit assignments, and it could be something stupid as rewrite a certain amount of vocabulary words or definitions to words, 40, 50 pages, and they'll use that as to give you a 10 or 15 point credit, boost, extra credit, and that's what'll determine you getting that C or B in that class.
No, but I think that's an important philosophy to life too. Just
it's important.
Effort, because
that translates into a job market as well.
Very basic effort to you might seem like, but to other people it comes off as
he really wants it.
Exactly.
She really wants it. You translate that, and CEO, you running the company. That'll determine somebody's getting a promotion. You see two people like he good at what he do, but he kind of like he lazy a little bit, like he really don't really care. But then this person over here, every time you turn around, you see this one coming in early, working late. You like, God, like he really, and you know that he applied for the job. You're like, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and give him the promotion because you over here, you got the skill set. You've been here a little bit longer than this person, and everything. But they want it so bad that you just sometimes that effort will beat, and that constant like striving and pushing for something that also leads to having a great skill because you're working so hard towards something. And most of the time, skill beats. You know what I mean? It beats the other side a lot of times based on somebody that works so freaking hard. So the lesson in this really was, like I just said, it's the little things like effort that students and any student that's listening, you can do little things like that. Stay after school or just go the extra mile, and teachers will see that and it'll help. I, however, was so popular as an athlete. Girls would say, I used to have a first period wife, second period wife, third. I named these girls. I was a problem. So, and they know who they are. They'll see this and be like, he's not lying. They would say to me, are you going to dunk it for me tonight? Hell yeah, girl, I'm going to dunk it for you tonight. I would give them my test. They would do the whole test for me. So can you imagine swapping tests in a class with a female? We swap tests. They do the whole test, and I swap tests, give theirs back, and I take the one they just did, put my name on it, and turn it in. I don't know what's on that test. I don't even know.
Man.
So you can imagine that catching up to me in my senior year. So my point in saying that is I didn't learn the lesson before with academics, but now I had great grades throughout because I'm cheating. But then senior year come and it's time to take SAT and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
I don't even know the curriculum really. I know a little bit, but not really, because most of this stuff I've been cheating. I had a couple of honors classes. I was cheating in them too. They were the worst. I probably should be saying that. But they taught me some methods that I didn't learn in the regular CP. I'm like, good Lord, the regular classes? Oh man, the honors kids, they taught me some extra methods that I didn't even, I said, woo, they were better than us in the regular, oh my God. So I took some of them and took that back to the regular class and taught them the game. Like it was, man, and like you, and then now I hear that you go to college and you hear all these freaking fraternities and sororities, they still answer keys and all this stuff I'm hearing. And I'm like, well, I should have took my ass right on and went to one of these universities and joined one of them clubs because I did that all through freaking high school.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Man.
So the lesson really, man, was I had to buckle down. I found the smartest kid in the school I knew. He was like, they said he had like the top, he almost had a perfect SAT score. Shout out Keegan. He knows exactly what I'm talking about. And when they told me that, I approached him and asked him, would you mind being my tutor? So he stayed after school with me every day. I ended up getting back on the team at some point. And then he ended up staying out of school with me every day, tutoring me. When exams came, I took my exams. I graduated on time.
Man.
And that was the moment that I realized that cheating is never good. You can never cheat. Never, ever cheat yourself. It'll catch you. It will catch you.
I like that. And that kind of moves us on to our next topic of like, you sought out a mentor.
Wow. I just realized that just now.
Really?
I just realized that just now.
And through our conversation, you said your network had grown through seeking mentors too. Man,
that's the first time that really I just thought about that. I even had the courage then to do that.
Dude, this is the only way that we can have real conversations. Because, like, again, I think that face to face, I get to see. I don't know. I'm not very intuitive. I think that I'm very naive to my feelings still. Hence why I don't take therapy, nor do I want to. But I think that I'm smart enough to still be strong enough to block it. I'll block it for a while. But yeah, you sought out mentors. Mentors have been very important to the agency you own now, right?
Yeah. You know what? As you were saying that, I thought about it. Even in 5th grade, when I retained and had to come back, that year right there, I joined the Gentlemen's Club. Full of mentors. I had a list of mentors. Those teachers, like those 5 or 6 guys that led the Gentlemen's Club were our mentors. Every Thursday we had to wear a suit and sit at the staff table. We had to learn how to pull the chair out we learned how to be gentlemen, and I actually won Gentleman of the Year. Do you understand? So it's like I had moments in my life where it was some success, but then it was failures in between. But the common ground here is I always had a mentor. And I'm just now realizing that I'm using that even now as an adult. I just realized it. I didn't think about it until you just said that. I'm like, wait a minute. I've been doing that since elementary. The other story was high school.
But I think it's important that, like, I'm glad you did it because, like even now to this scale, to have your own management company, to be also make music and artist, like you're delving all these things to where you still found success
through mentors.
Was it liberating taking your first session of, like, after that, how did you see your business?
So after
it was the song, because I want to go into the song, so that's kind of where I'm going to. Did you make that or produce that before or after you went through the therapy process, or was it in the between?
I did therapy after I made that song.
Really?
Man, yeah. I did therapy after I made that song.
Okay.
Like I said, the guy's challenge was like, you doing all this mental health advocacy, but you don't even go to therapy. They called me out. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And like I said, the young lady that I was dating, she brought it up as well. She didn't say that, but she just was wanting to know what was my negative connotation towards, therapy, and I really didn't have an answer other than all people crazy. Ignorance. You know what I mean? I thought it was crazy, but
yeah, I'm not gonna call therapists crazy. I'm just saying I don't want your help right now.
I thought anybody went to that was probably crazy. Man, everybody doesn't have a diagnosis.
Yeah.
Like for me, I didn't even have a diagnosis. It was just I go through depressive states where it triggers back to stuff that like childhood trauma. Like I said, that moment of feeling like a failure in my mom's eyesight led me to just kill myself to try to be something more. So she never, So I never feel that again. Because again, it had nothing to do with her. She was never not proud of me. You know what I mean? I'm just now discovering when I tell her these things now, she's like, what? Like this is just stuff I drafted up in my head. I just thought she must have looked at me like a failure for what happened. I don't know why I perceived it that way. Why did I perceive it that way? But like you said, it helped me because it made me always strive for something more. I didn't accept I did not accept what they told me I was. So you just a black boy from da-da-da. I'm going to be more than that.
And maybe through this conversation, we obviously didn't talk about your successes, your management company, but I do want people to get the importance of, I guess, what your background was, like who really Dequan is. Because again, I didn't really want to delve into, like, let's say the successes, the management company, because those are things I can put out there.
Right.
I can't explain your perspective of how you went through life. Yeah. Through a post. Right. Only you could. So
that's true. No, that's true. And to really dive back into what you said about the business itself, or even the song. Let's go into that. You're Enough. The reason that I wrote You're Enough was exactly why. If you just heard my story and heard my background, then you understand why I wrote You're Enough. If you notice in the song, it says, many days I was feeling stressed. Long nights I was so depressed. You're enough. It always takes you back to that. All the pain, it was just a test. To be alive, you already blessed. Because you're enough. That's the lines in the song. And then I even start off in the first verse and I say, young soul, steady growing old. You try to walk the right path, but the world cold. I imagine how it feels being all alone. My advice, be strong, keep pressing on. I guarantee that you'll see better days. And when they try to steer you wrong, do the right thing. I know it's hard because you're stressing over nice things, but it's okay to stay fly within your price range. Do you see where I'm going with that? I wrote that. I wrote the verse to me. That was about me.
And you didn't even know it.
It's about me. And I closed that verse with saying, because it ain't worth it at the end of demise. Every single breath you take is a blessing disguised. If you crying, keep your head up. Get strength from above and stand tough. It's a must. Why? Because you're enough. Like, that's literally talking to me. And if you hear that story of my background and what I came from and where all this shit triggers from, then you would understand why I was writing that. What I didn't know, thanks to one of my mentors, her name is Tiny Haley. She told me, you need to market this song for mental health. I said, but I'm not a therapist. She said, no, you need to market this song. She said, I'm telling you, a lot of people need to hear this because you're talking about your depression. She said, just tell your story. It's your story. Can't nobody tell that but you. But you. And I said, you're right. She said, you don't got to be no therapist. She said, tell your story. Can't nobody tell your story but you. You're telling about how you overcame depression and discovered that you being alive and you being just Dequan Stars or you just being Mario is enough. That's why you wrote that. She said, and people need to hear that. I said, okay. The interesting part about it is when I first wrote the song, it was called I Am Enough. Produced by Nia Lindsay, which is one of my producers outside of my other cousin I told you about, Randall. Mm-hmm. My mom heard us writing the song and said, wait a minute. You need to say you're enough instead of I'm enough. She said, because you're talking to the listener. She's the reason that I switched the name of the freaking song. But what's so wild about it is in that verse, I'm talking to me, but for some reason it translates into a universal language where everybody that hears that understand exactly what I'm talking about. Because how many of us feel like we're not enough, or how many of us, you understand what I'm saying?
I'll sign up to that.
like it's times where you just feel like it's just times we feel like we're not enough. Or how many of us desire to have something so why you can't just coexist and just be little old you, just little old down to earth you? Why do you have to strive for something so big? You know what I mean? Or why do you feel like you gotta spend all this extra money to impress people that don't even know your ass? That's why I said it's okay to stay fly within your price range, because I can sit in first class next to Mario, CEO, but I probably got a brother or a friend or two that work at the airport that probably gave me one of the buddy passes, and this is how I'm sitting here, but I'm flying smart. We both going to Miami, but I also probably got a friend who got access to a Marriott hotel. He get employee discounts. He let me file as a family friend discount. So we're going to the same 5-star hotel, flew in first class, and I'm doing it all from within my price range, my budget. But I'm still going to Miami to party for Memorial Weekend. You just flew probably on the company expense, first class, get out there, first, fly hotel, rented the Lambo, showing out. I probably rented the same Lambo. However, if I rented that Lambo, I probably saw that they had some sales going on, and I done it because they had a half the price for Tuesday. And I just so happened I got it for Tuesday. You probably rented it for the whole week. Don't matter. You still saw me in this Lambo. So it's like, it's so many ways to live within your means and your price range and still live a fly lifestyle. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I'm really glad that you have found a way also to where you can coexist with yourself and feel like you're enough.
Thank you. Because it took a long time to get there.
And I appreciate, we're going to have to cut it short because then the cameras heat up. But I really appreciate you taking the time to be here on this podcast and also being vulnerable enough to share your story, why you made that song, and hopefully anyone listening to podcast episode or gets to listen to podcast episode can really get to know you. I think we're going to have to do another part to where we talk about the networking part because you have a huge perspective on that too. But I'm glad I got to know Dequan.
Right.
The awareness that you want to bring to mental health.
Right.
How it helped you.
Right.
I think you sharing your story, how it helped you personally, will help other people at least gain an interest to trying to learn themselves. Because, like, again, I think it's very vulnerable to say that you didn't want to take therapy, but you took it anyway, and you found out, again, that you were enough.
And it kind of goes back to, like you said earlier, always seeking mentors. That's an area that I'm not familiar with. So the lesson here that anybody that's listening is, if you're trying, or if you're curious about a certain area in life, or just want to really know, or like I said, just curious about anything in life, before you get into it, just find somebody that's really an expert in that area that you're curious about, and approach them with something simple as, hey, I would love the opportunity to just learn from you and shadow you. Because seeking a mentor to get familiar with that territory that you're trying to be, or trying to step into, or that you're so curious about, it feels foreign to everybody when you first step into something. But if you got a mentor that you can approach, that can kind of guide you through some of the mistakes, or some of the ups and downs, and some of the loopholes and curves that you are going to get, you're going to get them no matter what area of life you step into. But if you find a mentor that's already done walked that path, it's easier for you to navigate through.
And now you've even become a mentor through your own experience. Again,
absolutely.
I appreciate it, Dequan. And guys, we'll catch you guys on the next episode. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, and let us know what you thought about the episode. And we'll catch you guys in the next one. Dequan, thank you.
Oh, man.
See you
Likewise.
on the next one.
Always remember, you're enough. Yes, sir.